uh, Brigham Young University.
Oh, here in town.
Yes. And having spent some time in your lovely city, I have discovered nobody has ever been born in Las Vegas. Everybody is from somewhere else.
Well, I am the contrary of it all because
Ah,
I am a native. I was actually born in Las Vegas. We have Larry coming on as well.
Oh, it is a party.
It is
Awesome.
So, well, his name is Larry Otter. He's from Canada. Is that one of your guys?
I'm not sure.
yeah, Larry's a neighbor of mine.
Oh, okay. Well, let's have him come on too.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I find people south of the border think that if you're in Canada, you must know a friend of theirs.
I do
Forgetting
that all the time
Yeah,
too.
forgetting the fact that Canada is actually wider than the United States.
United States, yeah.
Not counting Alaska, of course.
That's funny. Well, we have Larry Otter.ai trying to enter the room. I don't know. And we don't know who he is.
I don't know who he is.
Carolyn? Do you
No,
know?
I don't know the name at all.
Okay, then he can sit in our waiting room.
Okay.
All right. Well, guess what, guys? We are actually live. We've been live for about a minute now. So I usually go through the background, and welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters, where we are District 115 based out of Las Vegas. And we also have a little part of Utah as well. We are the only morning show that we know of that is with Toastmasters International. And the purpose of this show is to get to know our fellow Toastmasters in their journey in hopes that someone will be just browsing through the internet and say, you know what, Toastmasters may be for me. So today we have our co-host Doris. Hi, Doris.
Hi, Jennifer.
And then Carolyn, who is a spectator. She came on board. But we have Tony, our guest. Welcome, Tony. And we were just having a conversation of where we are from. And Tony, tell us where you are from.
2 hours northeast of Toronto. So that puts me about 5 hours east of Doris.
Oh, wow. Great. And you know Doris because she is a Toastmaster. From which club, or how do you know Doris?
I know Doris because Doris is in the Energetics Toastmasters Club in Kitchener-Waterloo, as is Carolyn. And I co-sponsored the club in 1996, and it's still going strong.
Nice. It's nice to hear that when somebody is sponsoring a club and it's still going strong. So that is what, 26 years? Is that? My math is, I do math for a living, and it's bad.
I know it's very early in the morning. We are asking a lot from Jennifer this morning.
I'm just rolling out of bed. So is it Waterloo, Canada you're from?
Ontario.
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 Okay, gotcha. So Tony, you have been a Toastmaster for how many years?
51 years.
Holy moly. Is that 51 consecutive years?
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very much. The story is actually longer than that.
Well, tell us, because that is why you are here. Tell us about your first Toastmasters experience.
My first Toastmasters experience was I was taking a recreation leadership course at Fanshawe College in London, Ontario. And I knew that as a recreationist, I would be expected to stand on my feet and make some semblance of presentations.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
I was scanning through a brochure that came from the London Public Library, the YMCA in downtown London, Ontario, and it was a public speaking course. So I thought, well, okay, let me go try that and see what happens. I show up at the meeting, and it was an exciting group. It was an enthusiastic group. The fellow that ran it was a graduate of the Dale Carnegie program. And for those who know a little bit about Dale Carnegie, they used to roll up newspapers and you would slam the newspaper onto the lectern because that was to get the energy moving, et cetera. So there were all kinds of things that he did. He also turned out to be an area governor for Toastmasters and was a member of Forest City Toastmasters Club in London, the only Toastmasters club in London, Ontario. There are now about 25 of them. So
Wow.
it has changed. So I show up at my first meeting. I'm a guest, and I was asked if I wanted to participate in table topics, and I said, sure. So I sold dog food based on a picture out of a magazine that I was given, and I sold dog food. And I was shocked and surprised when I won table topics. Now, I know now, of course, that it's not that extraordinary for a guest to win table topics. That's what we do in Toastmasters. So I was with the club for probably 6 or 7 months, and then got a recreation position, a summer position outside of London, and I couldn't get to the meetings because, of course, guess what? Recreation professionals work at night when everybody else is having fun. So they don't have a social life. So I left the club and I said to them, I'll be back. Now, I'm sure that everybody on the call today has heard people say that, and you look at them and say, he's not coming back. So in 1971, in October, I rejoined Forest City Toastmasters and have been a member ever since. In those days, if you didn't have a jacket and a tie on, you were not ready for the meeting.
Yes.
Things have changed.
Yes.
I got a sweatshirt this morning. Now it's a special sweatshirt, so I give myself permission to do that. Early on, I really enjoyed the meetings. This was my group, and boy, they were encouraging and enthusiastic and just absolutely wonderful to be with. Well, then it was deemed appropriate for Toastmasters International to accept women. So they gave each club was given the choice of allowing women to join them.
Wow, giving
Yeah.
a choice. Yeah.
There was no reason for women to join Toastmasters because they had their own organization, and it was called Toastmistresses.
Oh, okay.
And it was co-started by Ralph Smedley, who also is the founder of Toastmasters International. So when the vote came to our club, I was club president, and I voted against it. I thought that women would destroy the organization. I was convinced of that. Now, I can tell that story today because I was wrong. There's absolutely no question.
You were absolutely wrong.
Absolutely wrong. And in the year before, we came to June, and I said, so what's happening? And we go right through the summer, right? And Pat Bentley said to me, he said, no, we take a break in the summertime. And he said, if you want summer meetings, you organize them. And I did. I knew to the minute when people were leaving for holidays, coming back from holidays, and I'd be on the phone reminding them about the meeting. This is 1972 now. We don't have any computers. It's all phone, and there are no cell phones or anything of that nature. So I ran the summer meetings and then was elected president. In those days, club years were January to December, not July to June. So what's interesting, when I celebrated my 50th anniversary, I went back to most of the clubs I had ever been involved in, and most of them, of course, were online because we're in the middle of COVID.
Mhm.
And that group in Forest City, there were a couple of former members, and we are now meeting as an alumni group with
Oh,
the
wow,
same
that's nice.
people. And Pat Bentley is still there and meeting with us. And it's been an absolute joy to get caught up with these people. So that's how my Toastmasters career started.
Wow. So 51 years of from the moment of saying, I want to be a rec director and having to know how to speak in public. Now, you went through your career
Yes.
as a rec director. Am I saying that right? Recreational.
Well, yes, but it had many, many twists and turns.
Mhm.
And the reason it had so many twists and turns is because of Toastmasters. I was a classroom teacher, middle school, for over 2 decades.
Oh,
That
wow.
never would have happened had I not been involved in Toastmasters. And people who knew I taught, they would say to me, "Oh, you're a teacher. That's why you're involved in Toastmasters." And I say, "No, no, 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 no. I'm a teacher because I was involved in Toastmasters, because that was what started it all. All the lessons I learned at Toastmasters ended up being in my classroom."
Definitely a teacher would benefit from Toastmasters as well, because of the fact that the leadership skills, the communication skills, the one more speaking skills that a toast or a teacher doesn't realize that they need, because we've had some horrible teachers, right, in our past who do not know how to communicate, who do not exert leadership. So tell me from that portion, because it sounds like 20 years that you were in as a teacher, tell me how Toastmasters benefited you to give you that confidence to be able to teach.
My eye contact got exponentially better because I was in the classroom. I could tell what a student was going to do before they'd even thought about it, because I had that eye contact skill, because I
Mhm.
would zero in on these kids, and I loved my kids and I miss not being in the classroom. One of the things that I did was I thought, this is silly. I'm in Toastmasters. We should be doing more public speaking in my classroom.
Mhm.
So I decided that they would do 3 presentations a year. The kids also evaluated me every term, and my cohorts in the classroom said, "You do what?" I said, "I get my kids to give me feedback." And they were surprised. Well, guess where that brilliant idea came from? It came
Well,
from Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So we would do these speeches and 3 year, and I would not tell them when they were going to speak, because I figured if I told them that, Jennifer, you're going to be speaking next Tuesday, and Jennifer says, "Oh, I'm not feeling very well. I'm not coming to school." And that would make it even harder to get Jennifer up speaking. So we did these 3 speeches, and we had a Toastmaster. They would pick 5 names out of the hat. They would evaluate each other, trade evaluations, all of the stuff that you'd expect to see at a Toastmasters meeting. And I think the biggest compliment I ever got was the grade 8 teachers, because I was teaching grade 7. The grade 8 teachers would come to me in September and they would say, "I know exactly which kids you had in your classroom. They stand up, they speak, they're organized, etc." So I think that um, was a real credit to the Toastmasters program by extension.
It just gave me goosebumps. Do you have you had contact with any of your former students and to see where their growth went to?
Not directly. There were a couple of incidents that happened that really come to mind. David showed up in my classroom. So we were a 7-8 school. So that meant the kids went from kindergarten through grade 6 in one school and then came to our school.
Mhm.
We were given the class list. I could see their faces in my classroom. And then we were given this piece of paper, and the piece of paper was sort of a a chronological report on every screw up that the kid had ever made from kindergarten through to grade 6. I
Wow.
had enough problems with figuring out which kid belonged to which name. Never mind trying to figure out which ones were the guilty ones. So the piece of paper went in my desk and never to be seen again. So David shows up in my classroom. David had his parents were both teachers. So staff members that I taught with knew the parents. And I kept getting these questions. How's David doing? I said, David's doing fine. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I was in a portable, so nobody really knew what was going on in my classroom. But David, it turns out, when he was in grade 6, he had a desk in the principal's office because he couldn't get along with the teacher, couldn't get along with the kids, couldn't get along with the principal.
No.
David had a bit of a quirk. He liked to argue. So every day, David and I would have this full-blown argument. The sky is blue. No, it's not. It's green. You know, all of that stuff. And this went on for a good part of the year. I don't know what the other kids thought. They just accepted it. Oh yeah, they're having another
Yeah,
argument.
it's just David.
David came to me one day and he said, my friend Adam, who's also in the classroom, doesn't want to talk to you anymore. So I'm going to represent him and I'll be his legal representative. And I looked at David and I said, David, do you realize you can be charged for that? I mean, you have no training, no legal training at all. You can be charged. Oh, okay. So we walked back to his desk. I get an email from his mother that night and she says, I told David you wouldn't like that. Yeah. Fast forward, he's now in grade 11, so just about finishing up high school. And he's walking through his parents' living room. And parents were teachers. They had teacher friends over. And guess what? They're talking about kids in classrooms and the things teachers always talk about. And out of the clear blue, David says, you know, the best teacher I ever had was that Mr. Nelson. He was the first teacher that ever listened to me.
Wow.
Stories like that I'll share one more. Corey was in my class, and come January, he says, you know, Mr. Nelson, I'm having a really good year in grade 7. Oh, I'm thinking, well, maybe this has got something to do with the homeroom teacher. Maybe, you know, I better ask the question. So I said, so Corey, what's different about this year? Well, it's just going much better than it ever has before. Oh, and do you know why that is? I want him to say I'm responsible for this. And he says to me, I picked better friends in September. And that was the solution for it. Now, I will take credit for the fact that Corey had gotten himself into some trouble in grade 6.
Yes.
I didn't know about it because the piece of paper was in my desk. So
Yeah, you didn't pay attention to that.
yeah, I think the fact the kids had a fresh start in my classroom, I think was a godsend for them. I mean, that's what they needed, was a fresh start. So.
That's what they need, more teachers like you. My brother actually is a teacher. He teaches for Department of Defense.
Yes.
And it sounds like you guys may have similar styles. He's actually a principal, and it's always about the kids, right? Giving them their fresh start, and they're just little people, so you have to give them that respect. So kudos to you for that. Now, what else did you do in your career besides being a teacher and a recreational director? Was there anything else that you have done that you also contributed Toastmasters to?
Not so much in my career, but the things I have done outside of my career is a direct result of my involvement in Toastmasters. There's no question in my mind. Whatever I am today is, golly, it's probably 98% due to Toastmasters and to the influence that all of those members that I've come in contact have Pat Bentley, for example. I was working at the college after I had graduated, and he was in business for himself. He was an insurance agent, and other people in the club were in business. So I quit working at the college and tried to start my own business. I mean, that's a profound effect. It took more than I realized at the time. So it wasn't very successful, but it was the encouragement that I got from members to try new things and explore and expand, etc.
It's so interesting to hear from 50 years ago to today, how it's still the same structure of the energy when you walk in the room and the encouragement and the confidence that one gets from being a Toastmaster, that the program hasn't changed at all. And it's still consistently the same program with the same confidence. And that says a lot, because you don't run into a lot of programs that are still the same. Dale Carnegie, for instance, I went to a Dale Carnegie class. Gosh, it was in the 90s, because our company was like, oh, let's go to Dale Carnegie and learn. But you don't hear about those seminars anymore, those classes.
No, those seem to have gone by the wayside.
Yeah. And maybe they need more of that as well, because, we're basically tunneling down to a service. Everybody's in the service industry versus the production of the way it used to be, right? Because everything's online now and people need that communication skills. So I have definitely monopolized our whole conversation. Doris, I know she has a question to ask.
I am enjoying this conversation so much. I've known Tony for so many years, and he's had an influence on every Toastmaster that he has met. Absolutely. And one thing I loved when he did attend the energetics, he has moved away from the KW area. In every meeting, he always took the time to do an evaluation that was so encouraging. It doesn't matter what function you did within the club. If you were the timer, if you were the sergeant of arms, if you were a speaker, he would take the time to do those personal notes. Now, Tony, I know that you have been a member of many clubs. You've started clubs. What is the transition you've had to do during these times, online, hybrid meetings, in person? How have you built the relationships within your club with your members to keep them strong?
COVID has been an absolutely horrible thing to go through for many people. COVID gave me an opportunity to learn something new. I had never been online before, knew nothing about it. And through being involved online, I gained confidence. And I have just finished doing a presentation skills for the staff at the Notre Dame Alumni Association at the University of Notre Dame. And that would not have happened had it not been for COVID. So for me, COVID was an opportunity to learn new things. There are people in my club, and lots of, I'm sure in your clubs as well, they hate being online, absolutely hate it. And they think the only thing that exists is in person. Well, I've got news for them. There are two very different paths that people can be, and we are all involved in a lot of online meetings. I mean, now it's commonplace. It wasn't 2.5 years ago to meet online, but it certainly is now. And I think trying to encourage people and to say this is a learning opportunity. It's kind of like how long have you been a member, Jennifer?
3 years.
3 years. So you won't remember the legacy program, which was all the manuals and stuff. And golly, people who use the manuals. Oh, I missed the manuals. Well,
Yeah.
come
I
on.
still hear that.
Yes, exactly. And
Like, what
uh,
manual?
yeah, what manuals is right. And you're right, the program intent has never changed. The delivery system has changed, but this is again an opportunity to do some online learning,
Yeah,
which we're all going to face with. So I struggle with the fact that I can't encourage everybody to sort of embrace pathways. I think it's a great program. I think it
yes.
works really, really well. It's a little complicated from the user end, and getting online and getting through. So that's a little bit of a little complicated, but
Yes.
it's still a really good program. So get over all that stuff, get over yourself and say, let's get on with it. So
We say that too, like, get over it. This is the technology era, and this is the way that we're learning. And who wants to carry around a piece of book where you're a book and you're going to lose it somewhere? That's what I hear, that most people lost it versus keeping it. So here's it, where it's all self-contained in a portal.
Jennifer, I never thought about telling people, what if you lose your manual? I never
Yeah.
thought about that. I now have added to my knowledge base.
I've heard those stories of losing manuals and having to start all over again because there's no proof. So I have heard those stories. And one of the big things, because I'm in a division director, and they asked the question about how do I get people the buy-in for pathways? I'm like, what do you mean the buy-in? Why would you not? Get over it. Doris, do you have any other questions for Tony?
Sure. Tell us how you grow clubs. Tell us about club growth. And that's always a challenge right now. Many clubs are struggling with numbers, with their members. And I know that you have that personal touch with Toastmaster members of all the clubs that you belong to. And you know what it's like about building relationships within a club to strengthen it. Tell us the secrets, Tony.
I think the secret is asking the question, why are you here? What is it that you think you're going to get from the Toastmasters program? Because if you can identify that, you can say, oh, you want to do that? Okay, here are the things that will happen in Toastmasters that will help you do that. Here's the secret sauce, if you will. Here's the methodology that we'll use to help you meet those goals. So if you start with that simple question, why are you here? It leads to the right discussion, because I keep throwing in public speaking when I talk to people about Toastmasters, and you can see that they've had those experiences in school. They hated public speaking. Don't talk about public speaking. I don't like it. I can't do it. So I think the language is important too, but asking that question, what do you want to get out of the program?
And then we can answer the question is, we can help you with that.
Yes.
Well, it is 6:27, and I think, Doris, we could have one more question she has all of her questions written down.
No, I'm just listening, thinking,
It doesn't
this is what I
surprise
want
me
to
at all.
know. I told Tony this could be a mini series because he is such an interesting man to listen to. Carolyn, did you have a quick question? I don't know if you are listening.
No, I don't have a question. I'm just enjoying.
Okay. Carolyn is already is also a longtime member and has visited Tony's club. Tell us a little bit about your main club that you have in your city. What is it like?
Sorry, was that for me?
Yes, I know that you have gone hybrid. So how is the hybrid experience for your club right
The
now?
hybrid experience is great. How long do we have?
We just have a couple of minutes, and I'll have one more question for you.
Okay, I want to tell you one story. Carolyn is a book writer.
Yes.
Carolyn does book readings. I have a Notre Dame friend of mine who has just written a book. We met together with her about a week ago to help her get ready for her book reading. So suddenly my Notre Dame world and my Toastmasters collided. And Carolyn, Thank you so much for doing that. That was a great example of how we can reach out to people in the community and help them doing what they want to do.
You're
And it's
welcome.
so
That's an example of how he really does build up people around him. Right there. That's an example.
I love it. It sounds like, oh, I was going to say something and it's early and my brain just went. So anyway, I would love to have Tony back on the show again, because as Doris said, that your storytelling is amazing, and I would perhaps contribute that also to Toastmasters. I want to be a storyteller. I cannot tell stories as detailed as most people, where I start to rush because I think that people are don't want to listen. So I'll speed up the story and then I'll miss really good parts. So I would love to become a really good storyteller as Tony. Tony, though, one thing that I usually ask all of our guests, if somebody was just popping on, visiting the show and said, oh, well, this is really interesting, and they're catching this last bit, what would you say to somebody who's teetering on becoming a Toastmaster? What would you say to that person?
If you embrace the Toastmasters program and get all of the things out of it that you want to, you will never, ever get out of Toastmasters.
Hence why 51 years of being a Toastmaster. Not that you haven't picked up anything, but there's still more to learn. So great. I appreciate your time today, and happy holidays to you if I do not see you before the end of the year. And just to let those who regularly watch the show, we have Phyllis and Scott tomorrow. Phyllis is back from her African safari trip. And then on Friday, we'll have Jean Williams and I think Anita on, maybe Carolyn. Carolyn from, I can't think of it, not Carolyn, but Carol from Washington. So she is in Washington, D.C., and her representative got reelected, so she's still there. So I think she will pop on occasionally as well. So other than that, we will close up our show. It is Wednesday. You guys have a great day. See you next week. Bye.
Stay safe.
And then